The Marla and Dave radio experience begins in 3, 2, 1.
Now, if you're ready, we will begin.
Welcome to the Marla and Dave radio show. This is reality radio with a couple that keeps it real. Current events, pop culture, music, relationship, fitness, the hot topics of the day. Marla and Dave Thomas. This is the Marla and Dave radio show. Real radio. Turn up!
Welcome to the Marla and Dave show. Of course, and you don't need to adjust anything except, what the hell with this, Tony?
Maybe you need to adjust something. Anyway,
Tony, I know Dave wants this to be in my face at all times. It symbolizes something for him, but for me, this is not.
I like the visual.
This is not good for me, Tony.
Anyway, welcome to the Marla and Dave show. I'm Dave, and that's Marla over there struggling with her microphone.
Holy moly, cajoles. Hey,
yeah,
I'm Marla.
Work with it.
Whatever.
Anyway, we have a great show planned for you today. We're glad to be back. We were off last week. And we have some great guests in the studio that I can't wait to share with all of you. But before then, we're going to get to our week in review, a couple of weeks in review.
Well, first of all, let me just give a little precursor. After today's show, the one thing that I'm praying for is that no one ever looks at being homeless the same. And we tend to, there's two sectors of our community that tend to be shunned. And it's mental illness and homelessness. And it goes hand in hand. And, we share a story of trial and struggle with our guest today as parents.
Exactly.
Both the Thomases, Marla and Dave, and also our guest, Leah and Henry, Butler, and their son. So their struggle has inspired them to launch a nonprofit entitled Homeless But Human, along with their partners, and they can tell us a little bit more about that as we get into the show, as long as we'll hear their story. So now, go Dave, the week in review.
So this week, you're going to have to forgive us if we
kind of
just go to sleep or just kind of space out for a minute. We haven't eaten for a week.
Well, first of all, we're not.
Let me just say that. Let me just let that hang out there for a minute. We haven't eaten for a week.
There's no nuclear scenario going on. This is not by force. We've chosen to reset ourselves mentally and physically by doing the master cleanse. And there's several.
We've done it before.
There's several.
I was just trying to be
detoxes.
dramatic.
Yeah, that's clear.
I feel dramatic today.
Does that feel better for you?
Yeah, because I've been walking around Hollywood. I was running back and forth between a couple of studios because DJ's in another studio right now working, and so I was there as well. And as I got back to the studio, I was so lightheaded, and Tony was trying to have a conversation. God bless him. I was like, I was trying to be cool. It was like when Lexi was being born. I was trying to be cool, but I was about to faint.
Well, the interesting thing about that is I'm glad you now understand one little moment in time. That happens to me once a month. So,
wow.
Also the DJ
must be rough.
Also the DJ update. And I mentioned this on my feed when I was in.
Wait, before we get to DJ, how long are we gonna go without eating?
Well, that's up to you, Dave. My time is 7 days, so tomorrow we'll end that, and then I'll move into my ketonic.
I might need to be off by Thursday because as walking around trying to shoot this video on Thursday, it's gonna be a mess.
Take 6 is shooting a video for Sailing for their latest #1 album. Yep. So one of the songs.
Oh, okay, yeah. Beat him to
it. Tony, Tony, when I mention it, can you give me do we have to does the applause have to come? Are you on Lemonade?
This CD came out and debuted #1, and now we're about to cut our first video. So we're gonna do it.
A lot of things that we like to update you on what's happening in our world. I always give a quick DJ update. The DJ update is, this is you'll hear today, but the fight to right our children and their mental illness is ongoing. Mm-hmm. So, everybody gets involved with one crisis and you don't understand the daily grind to be able to maintain. And right now, for DJ, we're in maintenance mode, except we are still looking to get him into a treatment program. Yeah. So it's hard. And, we're learning more and more about his condition as at least now he's in a mindset to be able to talk openly about what he's actually experiencing. So it's a trial and it's a journey for us as a family, and it's really rough. And today is one of those days that's taken the wind all the way out of my sail. So, that's for now. But for now, everybody's at least safe. He's safe.
Well, yeah, and he's also getting back into the things that he loves to do. So he's in the studio right now working on some music, and we'll see how that turns out.
Tony, can I see my clock up there on some small?
After I left the studio, he had already written one song, and that was like in the first hour.
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's a lot, but it's good. I mean, it's good for him to get that energy out.
So Marla the Realtor has been on fire.
Marla the Realtor, if you're in LA, after selling a multi-unit income property duplex, there is one unit available. It's a gorgeous property within the city of Los Angeles, and so there's a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom for rent in LA. It's a duplex. So anybody who's interested in that, feel free to hit me up at any time. You will have to go through. There's no favors or clicks here. You still have to go through a screening process, and you still need to be a qualified applicant. But I am open to applicants. It's brand new. Whoever lives here now will be the first tenant since the complete total remodel. So all new appliances, laminate floors, brand new bathrooms. It's actually a very nice place. Laundry room inside each unit. It's awesome.
Now, we've been ripping and running, and we finally got a break to go to the movies yesterday, and we saw a movie that was actually pretty disturbing.
It's a true story, which
Yeah.
is the way I like to see them. And it's a movie called Adrift. And it was about a couple that went to sail, and they literally endured the worst storm, as Lexi told us.
In the 80s.
Period. To
Up
date.
until the 80s. It was still?
To date.
This day? Wow.
In the Pacific. The worst storm to ever be in the Pacific Ocean. And getting stuck in the storm.
And they're in a sailboat.
Right. The guy was killed. And the woman, it's a true story.
But
So
don't give it all away in case somebody wants to go see
she survived, and it's really, really, really terrible. You should see it. My review
it. Or
is...
did she?
Because it's a true story, there's some things that aren't giveaways. But anyway, on a scale of 1 to 10, I like to do numbers. And
I give it a 9.
How that works for me is anything that's a 9 or a 10. A 10 is a movie that you would see full price and you would pay to see it over and over again. And because of that, I give it an 8. I thought it was very well acted, the story. A 9 is a movie that you definitely would recommend seeing at full price. So I do it like this. A 1 is if someone hands you the DVD, throw it in the trash can. If somebody gives you the movie, close your eyes, put on blinders. A 2 to 4.
If you see it on your television,
a 2
just
to
turn
4
away.
is if it ever comes to TV and you have nothing else to do and you're bored, and do it. A 4 to 6 to me, or a 5 to 7 would be a matinee.
Actually, a 7 is a pretty good movie.
5 to 6 would be a matinee.
A 7 is a good movie.
A 7 is a 7 to 9 would be a good movie.
Wow.
It would be a good movie, but a 10 is a movie that you would pay to see repeatedly. Full price. You'd go to you'd pay $13.50 every time and see it more than once.
I'm not sure that there's
there is.
movie that I would pay
There
$13.50 to
are
see
movies.
multiple
There are
times.
movies that I would.
Wow.
Well, because technically I'm putting it on my mother's credit card. She's paying for these movies. In case anybody wanted to know.
Hilarious. Oh, man.
Anyway, so that's pretty much it as far as our week.
The NBA playoffs have been off the chain, son.
Listen,
LeBron is doing all that he can do and losing. I feel bad for him.
Steph
He can't stay
Curry
in Cleveland.
is not having it this year. And plus, it's not even that. They have an all-star team.
Well, everybody has an all-star team now.
Yeah, but when you put, you got Curry, you got
Durant, you got Thompson.
Yeah.
And the rest of the crew. But even still, nobody has LeBron. And LeBron, that first game of the finals, LeBron should have won. Anyway.
Well, you have to keep your eye on that. I think the Warriors are going all the way. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Marla and Dave radio show on the Universal Broadcast Network. Current events, pop culture, the hot topics of the day. It's time for Mad News on the Marla and Dave radio show. Ladies and gentlemen, Marla and Dave.
Dave,
it's time for the Mad
I'm tired of you
News.
clock chastising me.
You know what? I am the clock police.
You are a new name, the clock block. New meaning.
I'm not blocking it. I'm trying to keep from blocking it.
It's all about it.
Anyway.
Whatever.
So the news is pretty cool. This first story is adorable. There was a girl who found herself pregnant. She lived in Georgia.
She didn't find herself pregnant.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
Anyway, she was the good girl in her family and had straight A's. And when she found out that she was pregnant, and I guess because of her religious beliefs, she didn't want to actually get rid of the baby. So at that point, she decides that I'm going to go ahead and have the baby. And she was pretty downtrodden. But then came to herself and said, why does this have to be the end of the world for me, end of the line? And she decided to rededicate herself. She was enrolled in college classes, and she was a senior. She was working so hard that by the time December rolled around, she had already finished all the credits that she needed for high school, and she was rolling into college, and so she was able to take the time off to go ahead and have the baby while the rest of her class was in school, and she had already technically graduated. So by the time she marched, she was in the top 5% of her class, still had the baby, and is going into college next fall.
And you know what I love about this? I too was a teen mom, and what I love about it is, so many people in the world will count you out, and her motivation was to be better for her son.
And she
I love that.
I will do the best I can for my son and make him. I only want him to be proud of me.
Yeah, I really do love that.
This next story is insane. So, PETA is actually probably rolling over and trying to find this guy and put him down because an Idaho teacher, in front of his class, junior high students, fed a puppy to a snapping turtle. Now, he said the puppy was sick. But when the kids went home, as being terrified, they told their parents about it. Some of the parents actually went, and he was arrested for cruelty to animals.
I literally posted this story by saying, wait till PETA gets a hold of this one.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm kind of back and forth.
Now, let me tell you something.
If the turtle has to eat too.
If the snapping turtle found the puppy on its own and killed it, that would be one thing. But you don't go get a puppy and feed it to a turtle.
What do you feed a turtle? A snapping turtle who eats meat?
Well, there's other things. Feed it another turtle.
And who says a giant rodent is better than a small puppy?
Puppies are pets.
I hate to say it that way.
Okay.
But I mean, you got to feed the turtle.
Can you turn over there, please, and lock the door so when PETA storms in right now and tries to club David on the head like a little seal?
Trust me, I love
that he doesn't
animals.
die on his own show?
I love animals.
You don't feed it a puppy.
I also love the snapping turtle.
Okay, I'm done with you. Let's get on to the next thing. I don't even know who you are. Your hair's too straight. You've gone crazy.
All right, so Google has decided to end Project Maven. It was an AI military contract because some of the dozens of the Google employees were actually threatening to walk off the job and quit because they didn't like the Google actually going from their sort of do no harm as their or do no harm as their motto. And as they're weighing into supporting the U.S., some of their, the U.S. government, some of their employees were actually not cool with that. So Google, good for them, decided that their family, their employees were more important than that contract. So Google is ending that contract with the Pentagon and sticking to what they do best. That has been the Mad News.
And correct. We're out. Oh, we'll be right back. Don't move.
Can you handle the truth? This is modern American dialogue in a mad world from two unique, fresh, transparent perspectives. This is the Marla and Dave Radio Show.
Before we go any further, I want to introduce our guests. We have a lot of chat already going on on our social media sites. We're shared through everything. Facebook, the Marla and Dave Show, Marla Thomas personal page. We're on ubnradio.com because people are asking to share this. Sonny is asking, he said, great broadcast. How can I get a hold of it and help share it? It's important study skills to help students. So you can do that by having everyone come live now to ubnradio.com. We're on channel 1. or when the show's over, all shows are repeated and they're up forever on our website, which is www.marlaanddave.com. You can also access the show there, as well as Periscope, ubnradiotv.com on Periscope. So welcome to everybody in all the different platforms. This all of our shows are live and all of our shows are interactive. So if you'd like to call during the show, you have questions, comments, or just want to say what's up.
And the number is 323-524-2599.
Okay, enough mindless chatter. Let's introduce our guest that we have, our esteemed guest that we have with us today. We want to introduce to the Mad family, Henry and Leah Butler.
Yes.
What's
Welcome.
up,
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, Dave wants to see you put the mic right here in your face.
It's not that.
I'm just saying, yeah, it's okay. No, yeah.
It's
So,
not that.
Yeah. Look at Leah in her face and then
No.
deal with Henry. Go ahead,
No.
tell her.
Wow.
I want to see the mic too.
Too much.
My man.
Hilarious. I'm glad, number one, that we can smile at all, because we have a pretty tragic commonality between us. But the beauty of what in this introduction is we have been acquainted
Yeah.
for years, just because
Before all of
before all of this.
madness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so we are neighbors. We live in the same community, which for the world, just to know that it used to be 10 black people in our community, so we could
1,
count
2,
each other.
3, 4.
Four, yeah,
6 more.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
and we
And
had
our
to
kids.
and we had to approve all of them. We won't even talk about our offspring. But so it wasn't hard to recognize and get to know other people in our community, especially seriously with our children, because they all went to school together. And it was pretty much, it matriculated to be, more blended as they went further along. But in elementary school, it was just who lived in the community.
Yeah, right.
It's a fact. So when they were at Woodlake,
Oh,
it
that was
was
a beast.
there was only 4 that
Yeah.
I knew of at the time our kids entered, because Monique is 31. And so, right. And then when you got to junior high, it became a bust-in situation.
Right.
And then it, again, in high school, even
too,
more.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is we're a very close-knit community anyway.
Yeah.
And then the years went on and we didn't really interact much with each other. And then unfortunate circumstances brought us back together. And I saw you and your husband, Henry, out. And I was in a chat. Of course, you were like, wait a minute, we know each other.
It's funny how God works, because the way we saw each other at the restaurant.
We were at
it was just-
Marmalade Cafe.
Yeah, it was just so random. And then we were actually there for a while before we even noticed each other.
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
the way it just happened is just random. And how Henry, I'll let you say.
No,
it.
go ahead. No,
No. Go.
So
yeah.
no, so we were chatting, as Marla never talks to anybody.
Yeah,
Joke.
No, yeah, she's so quiet.
And I came out of my little shell. Anyway, as we were talking, and then Leah said, "Wait a minute, I know you." I was like, "Oh my God, I know
Right.
exactly who you are." So we started talking, and then Henry was almost trying to be. He didn't come right out with it, and I was the one that said. I said, let me go with my left, because my right is messed up because of my shoulder. And he was like, oh, yeah, I got some shoulder issues too. And I said, yeah, unfortunately, I had a physical altercation with my son, who's mentally ill. And he said, I got into it with my son too.
Wow.
And I said,
the same injury.
well, I don't know if it was his shoulder.
Wow.
But this is the thing. It wasn't my supposed to be mentally ill son. It was
Oh,
my
wow, the other son.
that
Oh,
we
wow.
don't even know if he's mentally ill yet. We're trying to figure it out.
So we ended up having that open the dialogue to find out that we have sons that are the same age, live in the same community. As African Americans, we have a different challenge, that's statistic, and we'll talk about that as we go along. But it led us and lent to the conversation
Right.
of where we were, and understanding that our boys were even in school together.
Yeah.
In
High
the
school.
same class in
Wow.
high school. Like, in other words, they were in the same year. And so I ended up, ironically, because of the issue that I was having with DJ, I had security at my house, and they would do a sweep at night, and they took a picture and said, "Is this your son?" And I said, "No, that's not him." But at the time, I hadn't seen Henry and Leah. And when I saw them, my heart was racing because I was like, "Oh my God, I have a picture of your son in my phone." And they were like, Henry said, "Wait, what?" And I told them, and sure enough, I pulled the picture up. They said, "That's our son."
She's like,
Wow.
I said, I bet it's your son. I bet it's your son. And I was like, let me see. She put up, I was like, that's my son.
Wow.
So take us back. Let's, we wanted to. I wanted to spend this first segment. We do our show in 3 segments, getting to know you guys and your story. So how many children in total?
Total, we have 5.
Okay.
We have 5. We have 4 boys, 1 girl. We're a blended family.
Okay.
As are we.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but they've literally, all of the kids have lived with us in the house. So
Right.
they all came up together.
They've been raised together.
Yeah, they've been raised together. And wait, do you want to step in and talk?
Anytime. I mean,
Well,
there's no toes here. Just you guys can talk together.
When it comes to the kids, I'm like the 6th kid, so she just make me talk about the kids. Like, you just talk about your part, and I'll talk about adulthood. Like, so.
Well, I mean, when they were younger, Darius was always, I think, the most sort of outgoing and the most social. Do you know what I mean? Like, he was always dancing. He was always like reading, super smart, book smart, straight A's in school. Like,
Never once had to go to school for any
trouble.
problems.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Not one time.
Never.
Ever.
And like he was a model kid. Like, he was a kid that you would want to have grown up in your house, because he literally gave us no problems.
If I had to put money on any of them,
It would have been Darius.
Wow.
I'd have
Yeah.
put the bank on him.
Wow.
For
Yeah,
sure.
honestly.
Wow.
Yeah.
And all of our kids are outgoing, but Darius was the most intellectual. Like, it was nothing to have him read a book or nothing to have him.
He enjoyed reading.
Like,
yeah.
he enjoyed reading. He's an athlete. I like to tell people, like, I have 4 sons, and none of them are. I love, just they're not corny. Like, they're real
Right.
guys. They're
Right.
you know what I'm saying. They're not corny dudes. They grew up in the
Yeah.
valley. They kept their culture. They didn't,
Right.
because the culture was in our home. We didn't let
Yeah.
the culture live in our house. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
I refused. My kids wasn't gonna turn into those kids. I turned those kids into my kids.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
I'm probably part of the problem with the Calabasas situation that's current.
I call it
Like,
Calabasas,
listen,
by the way.
listen, me and my kids had something to do with that. Yes. But anyway, like, coming up, we were always involved in all our kids, like just like yourself. I toured a lot early in the 90s. I was always gone working for record companies and stuff, but I would always find my way to, to make it home to their football games on Friday nights. Like, that was my thing. I tell people, I build a roster, I got to go home Friday. I'll see y'all back on Sunday or Saturday night, but
Yeah.
I'm going home Friday night. I'm going to catch that Friday night game. My son's on Friday night, and that Saturday morning games.
Yeah.
I'm going to catch my other son, and I'll get back on the plane, and come back out. So, and I was very adamant about that and being a part of their lives, and, and when I wasn't on the road, like, being at practice and just being a part of everything they ever done. And, to see my son in his current state is kind of like, I saw him this morning. Like, I make a point to go look for him every morning. I get up pretty early in the morning. And
Okay, but now hold that thought, because so we got a very clear description from you both of what Darius was like as an adolescent and growing up. Yeah. When was the fracture? Can you identify something that, because now, does he have a formal diagnosis? He's schizophrenic, is that correct?
I don't think he's been formally diagnosed, because he was always smart enough to, like, whenever he's around, like, doctors, that
he projects what they want to hear.
Yeah.
Or what he thinks is going to be okay.
Right. And so he wasn't, but it wasn't until, and this is getting way ahead of it, that that when he was in, I think, was it the last time he was in jail or the time before that? Because he's been back in and out of prison.
we have the same story.
Yeah. That, we were basically trying to have him tested. And they were like, he's fine when he's in there because he goes and checks himself in to the
medical
part of the prison, so he doesn't have to be in general population with everybody
floor
else.
2.
Yeah, and then he gets out so quickly that it's like
Right.
you don't really have a chance to do it. But
when we first really like identified what was going on is it was like his last year of high school and his girlfriend.
do you think it was then?
I think
though?
when she kind of dumped him. I thought it started
But that wasn't the last year of high school. That was after high school, wasn't it?
yeah, it was like after high school, but like
Right there. That was
Yeah.
that was a fracture.
that was the fracture. That's when we seen the difference in him kind of changing and kind of separating himself from the rest of the family. And we didn't really think,
What did that look like?
no, I don't want to go. And he also got into started doing music. He's very musically inclined,
Yeah.
and me and him had differences at that time. I think because I was like had a lot of leeway in the music business, and he would go to other people, and they would say, "Look, well, why you don't go to your dad?" And I think all that kind of stuff started eating at him, like
Why don't we just put our mics down and give them the show? Because we are the same family.
Exact life.
And I think he kind of got like, I was giving him direction. I was kind of putting him with the right people in the music business, and it was like everybody would put him with that I knew that could flourish his career. He'd be like, nah. I had a meeting with Jay Brown and just DJ Quick and people that were really doing it in the business, and he didn't want to deal with them because they were all like pro me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so he wanted to do his own thing, and we kind of started conflicting, and it was
Even
time
before the confliction too. I think before that, he, right after high school, you give your kids rules like, okay, you're going to go to college. You're going, he didn't get accepted into like a major university, but it's like, okay, but you're going to go to,
community college and then
you're
transfer over, right?
Yeah, and you'll work part time. And we'll pay your car payment, and we'll make sure you have to save your money, and so
you have to be in right. You're gonna have to be productive. You can't just sit on us.
Right. Well, then he saved a little money, and then thought that he was rich with I think about maybe $5,000.
and more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and he quit his job.
But he just
And once he quit his job and stopped working and stopped going to school, and you know what I mean, I think that is sort of where the break started.
Yeah.
Between you and him, because he just didn't want to, as a young adult, he just didn't. But that's kind of, when I think about it now, that may even been the start of him kind of checking out on life then, because he didn't want to do anything. He didn't.
One of the things that we recognized in DJ was we started to recognize that he was actually hearing voices. And so, did you guys ever experience anything like that?
never hear him hearing voices, but I did catch him talking to himself
all the time.
Like, but even as a kid, we all the family was like talking one day. The rest of the kids, they're like, "Yo, but Darius always did talk to himself." Like and just we'll catch him laughing. The rest of the kids, like, now you
That's
like.
us.
Yeah, I mean, even when you look
in
back
retrospect,
Right.
you understand, and hindsight is
funny.
crazy because that is exactly.
Yeah.
And David and I were like, man, he would always just weirdly come off the cuff with something that is not unrelated to
say
anything
something-
anyone's talking about.
Yeah.
Blurt out
Yeah.
something that made no sense.
But and one that stands out, we took the kids. At the time they were into the Backstreet Boys, and again he was producing the Backstreet Boys. DJ, the guys meet everybody. DJ goes to say, "Hey, what's Dave's like? This is my son DJ." He said something completely off the
Something about
wall,
a newspaper, and
and everybody was like, "What?" And I said, "D, what are you talking about?"
Everybody was like,
Huh?
We just
But
kept it
but
moving.
in you look back and you're like, man, and at the time, exactly, you keep it moving. You're like, D, boy, what are you talking about?
Right.
And then
One of the funniest things, and my youngest son is like, I can't stand him sometimes because honestly, if he wasn't who he was, I might have caught it. But he's always telling me like, "Yo," and I just be like, "Man, just shut up, because you're a troublemaker." Like,
yeah.
But we have a picture in our house when it's not funny,
I
but
can't
we have to
believe
laugh
you're bringing this
sometimes.
up.
no, he's hilarious. I'm already gonna tell you some funny stuff about your husband.
But listen, so we had this picture. They were like 4 or 5, and a bunch of other little kids and cousins. And we're at Universal Studio, and they had the Frankensteins and all the monsters, and all the rest of the kids were scared, and he was standing there like, and my son said to me, Dad, look, all the rest of the kids are scared. Y'all should have known then. Like, because he was sitting there smiling with the
completely
monsters.
opposite reaction.
Yeah, and all the rest of the kids,
Yeah.
if you look at the picture, it is just like.
It's a lot of, when you look back, it's a lot of
They were
things like
hiding
that.
and scared of the monsters. He was just like.
Well, these are some of the things that we have to talk about openly as parents, and because parents want to know. Like, this is the biggest question I get asked. Like, was there anything that you could tell early on? Because you don't really, we were fortunate enough to get an actual diagnosis, and that's after DJ's fracture when he was 23.
He was in college.
But when I see Darius, which again he is, unfortunately, I can only imagine how heartbreaking that is for you two, that he's in our neighborhood. So every day I leave my house, when I go to a common place, which is the local grocery store, the Starbucks, it's a popular stop, I see Darius. Matter of fact, we both at different times have fed him, because once I met you, reconnected with you, then I was looking for him, and I introduced myself to him and said, hey, can I get you something? He told me a sandwich, told me exactly how he wanted it. Yeah. And I said, and this is my car, and if you ever see me, you don't even, I'm going to always ask you, but if you see me and I don't see you and you need anything at all, please just let me know. I know your mom and dad.
Thank you.
You went to school with my son, and it's you can bring them out when when there's voices, because he goes from talking to himself to, there's somebody talking to me.
Right.
Literally.
And he'll then engage.
Yeah.
Like today I saw him. I saw him twice today. I saw him this morning, and I was on Topanga. I had to bust a U-turn because there was traffic behind me, and I got out and I talked to him at the Chevron station. He talked to me for a second, and then I had some more meetings, and I came back. I had to stop at the Rite Aid, and I had a friend of mine in the car with me. He seen my car. As soon as he seen my car, he took off towards the subway. And I told my friend, I said, look, go talk to him. He'll talk to you. He ain't got to talk to me. And I just went to Rite Aid. And when I came out, again, he was in Subway with my friend and talking. I caught him in Subway. I had a little conversation with him in there. And he just went on about his business. It's just, And
so I guess one of the things that I wanted to point out now that you guys are mentioning that is, it's hard for people to believe that homelessness, because of his mental condition, is a choice. See, people...
Oh, yeah. People don't. When you tell them that you have a son that's homeless, or they're like, or it actually changed our perception of homelessness. I think when it first happened, because we knew that for him, he could be at home. He could be where he wanted.
No, keep going. I'll bring you back in a minute. I forgot to give them the golden rule when they hear the exit music. This is what generally happens, and I always say, it's okay. We do this for a living. We'll bring you out. Hold that thought. We'll be right back after the break.
All right.
Hey guys, listen up. Learn something. 26 years of marriage from two unique perspectives equals 52 years of relationship experience.
Excuse me, that's 58 years? Oops, I made a boo-boo.
It's time for Ask Marla and Dave. Answers to your questions about life, love, and relationship based on Marla and Dave's real-life experience. It's about to get real. Ask Marla and Dave.
All right, it's time for the Ask Marla and Dave portion of the show. It's when you have gone to our home, www. Yes, Marla, www.
Not our actual home, though, because if you came to
marlaanddave.com and you've clicked on the Ask Marla and Dave tab, you've actually put your question right there, and we respond to it right here on the show, so you don't have to wait to call in. Anyway, Marla, what's the question for today?
I just want Leah and Henry to know that you're not supposed to say www. It makes them elderly. Yeah. Anyway.
I need glasses now, too, so www.
The question that is asked is, Dave, you always seem to be unbothered. From what I can see, for different reasons, your wife and older daughter are live wires, and to say the least. Recently, Moniece posted a tribute to you on her IG that was very moving. What advice can you give me as a man and stepfather that would hopefully have the same love effect on both my wife, children, and stepchildren?
I'm gonna answer this in two parts. First of all, if you actually love your wife and truly love your children, and you do all that you can to take care of them, that is pretty much all you can do. You cannot control how they respond, and it's nice when they respond this way. And I was moved when Moniece posted that, but I'll say this: while it seems like the second part of that is while it seems like I'm unbothered, what I've learned is that when you're dealing with highly emotional situations, especially in the family, somebody has to react in a way that doesn't add to that emotional turmoil. And so I've learned that that's easier for me to be the one to do that, easier than Marla sometimes. And because of that, it seems like I'm unbothered. Now, I will tell you this. When everybody leaves the house, I'm cussing and screaming and like, what the God?
I'm going to put up a video. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, you wouldn't.
Yeah,
And so,
I want to see
then
it.
by the time
Are
everybody
you
comes
nude
back around.
at any point during this rampage?
Not usually nude.
Okay, so it's not a full Monty explosion.
No,
All right.
just maybe some jaws. But
Okay.
Anyway, but literally, as a human being, it gets to me as well. But there were times when I realized that for the sake of bringing everybody together and resolving the situation, it's easier for me to act unemotionally at times. Because then I can act more objectively what the situation calls for. And that allows me to not respond sometimes to some of the things that someone in an emotional state might be saying. Because if I were to respond to that, it just escalates. And so what we've learned is that's called de-escalating. And so I de-escalate pretty well. So all I can say is do the best that you can, love your family, man to man, and that's how you signed it. And God will have to do the rest. You have to
I
trust
signed
God.
man to man because everyone's anonymous, so I make it up according to what the.
Oh, thank you, Marla. Well,
Yeah.
man to man, you know who you are. That's for you. I hope it helps, bud.
Okay, well, I'll look forward to that naked tantrum. I'll be filming.
Back to the show.
Intelligent, fun, and super real. This is the Marla and Dave Radio Show.
So unfortunately, because I've encountered your son and I didn't speak with you directly, I did kind of, and I will remove this. I said schizophrenic and homeless, which I don't know if he has schizophrenia, so I'm gonna.
No, but you know what? He does have traits. Like that's what we feel because of the symptoms that he has shown. Talking to people that pretty much aren't there. He's in and out. What else does he do?
Just his actions, his physical actions and things that he do, and
A lot of ticks.
a lot of ticks.
Yeah, a lot of texts.
Well, the
And
auditory
then he's on
hallucinations
drugs,
is
too,
pretty
though.
much.
But I think the drugs, the symptoms of what we feel are schizophrenia, plus the drugs, just.
Well,
And what drugs is? Because I know they self-medicate. Because our son again
Right.
went through all of that. As far as
And I
down the
think-
road is heroin.
And I think that the drug it's heroin and meth, and I think the drugs is a part of them trying to
Cope.
Normalize.
normalize itself. They think that if they, use drugs that it'll go away or that it's self-medicating. And I think they might lose it in the drugs for a minute, but then, I really think his worst state is probably when he's not on the drugs.
And David was saying, and you can go ahead and share some of the things that DJ has recently shared with you.
Yeah, well, I had to tell
In
D,
between two states.
The bottom line is when you're in the house with us, it's a drug-free environment, no matter what. Now, he truly to this day believes, and I'm working on helping him understand that it's the drugs that actually activate. Soon as you come down, suddenly those voices and those auditory hallucinations, they get much worse. And so, and even after talking to a couple of psychiatrists, it's hard to say what comes first, the chicken or the egg. It's like when you have a mental health or brain difference, as we like to call it, sometimes you self-medicate, and sometimes taking the drugs actually causes the fracture. So it's hard to say, but they do always go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And when you spoke to me about the auditory hallucinations, that just says schizophrenia.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing, Marla, we had the conversations, and they talk about the same exact thing. Like it's
It's like a script.
It's Yeah, it's like
Some kind of
And,
way.
and I'm
the whole
happy because
world-
they want the volume. So if you just bring,
Oh,
yeah,
I'm
you could
sorry.
you could bring it
the
to
mic.
me.
The mic.
move-
Remember,
you can
still
Dave
sit
said
back.
about the mic.
Right.
Dave,
Yeah,
Got it.
right.
Okay.
Dave gave you
Listen,
the mic. rules.
first of all,
Yeah.
I've been, back in the day, your wife had a pole dancing studio,
Ah,
and I've
sure
been
did.
there. So what I want you to do is fall back. You've
Okay.
had enough of
You're
what you
right.
need in your lifetime.
Thank you.
absolutely.
Will
Well,
you say it
Henry-
again?
Yeah, you've had enough of what you need in this lifetime. But
What
look at his
Marla said.
faces.
Hashtag what Marla said.
Enough.
He can relax through this show.
I'm
He can
trying-
get through an hour and a
I'm
half.
trying to do what God told me to do: be fruitful and multiply, and
You,
keep trying.
you have multiplied.
and keep trying.
Enough.
Right. And these branches are no longer bearing fruit. So fall all the way back.
I'm lost for words. I don't know. Enough.
But when Marla first told me, and this is just a sidebar, when Marla first told me she was going to the pole dancing class, the pole class,
Yeah.
I said, I'm gonna get a wig, I'm gonna get an outfit, get a disguise. I'm coming in too.
And I'm like, no matter, this is my
I
husband.
said, tell me what I need to do. I
No
need
matter
dollar
what,
bills. I'm
what
coming in.
what wig he may put on, just so you know, if he comes in here.
You didn't invite him to the recital?
First of all, my friends were like, "You should get a pole in your house." I said, "What? So you guys want to bring slavery back?" Because if I put a pole anywhere in my house, I won't. The doors will strangely be locked.
we
I'll
had a poll,
I'm sure.
and the kids. It's so funny because little kids just come over. They're like, "What is this?" We said, "Oh, it's the fire. It's the fire station."
You should practice.
It's the fire station, and they go
Hilarious.
See,
down to
Leah she had a reason though.
Wow.
Her pole studio was her business, so that
Yeah,
made
it
more
was.
sense. So it's all good.
So here's the question that I have for you. First of all, Leah, you were about to finish saying something. Did we finish that, Marla?
Well, we were talking about you were talking about the auditory hallucinations, and what I was going to say is that now DJ is saying, we were talking about drugs.
Okay, yeah.
And now DJ is actually saying out loud that he would do anything essentially to make the voices stop. So he's saying,
And he also feels that marijuana increases his creativity.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, they do
that's
that.
how it started. I think part of it, how it started with Darius, is the marijuana. Like it was like he can get into his own. But if you go to his social media, you can see
Where it stopped at.
Where it stopped.
We go through it all the time. And
Where
just watch
he, where he was okay, and then you see the transition.
so we're now about to see another doctor, and this doctor has said point blank period, we'll see her this week, and we're going to try to figure out some holistic treatments. And
Homeopathic.
homeopathic. And what she said is, first I need to see him and talk with him, because when anybody under the age of 30, it's either one of two things. There's been a tragic suppressed event that has fractured them,
Emotionally.
or it's been marijuana.
Wow.
So-
I think for him it's both,
And our community, which I remind everybody. And by the way, don't ever feel like that what you hear us saying today is that, we're all about, we're ignoring that there's suffering amongst humans. We're not. But I do know that we as African Americans have the most ignored group with the highest affected. We're 2 times more likely affected by mental illness, as you guys are now finding out with the shows that we've been doing, and we're less than 1% engaged in accepting and treating.
Yeah.
To their 60%
the. Yeah, well,
of being able to say, oh,
Because it's
this is
so
a problem.
easy.
we ignored it for a long time.
And I want you to talk. Yeah, I want you
Not
both to
just
talk to that.
Yeah, well, not just really ignored it. It's just that when you don't, like for me, like I don't have mental illness, so it's kind of hard for me.
Right.
To
It's out of your paradigm.
Yes, like
Right.
it's
You
just
see
like,
something,
what's
it's
wrong with
like
you? Just
behavior
snap
that's-
out of it. Like
Right.
what's like,
Punishment.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's my
Exactly.
thought process, but it's not until it happened. Because my sister, she actually suffers from anxiety and depression, and that's all a part of mental illness.
1 in
as well.
5 people, just so you get it, of
Yeah.
all people. So
But even with her, I used to have a very short
Fuse.
fuse with my tolerance with her, and then when she started to explain it to me, and then another friend of mine, and I'm like, yo, this is real. This is a real thing. So I'm careful not to call people that have mental illness
Crazy.
Yeah,
I'm
it
conscious
changes
of
your
that.
we
perception.
started using
Oh
the
my
term-
gosh!
We started using the term brain different.
Right.
Yeah. And I have to, always keep him politically
He-
correct.
he's
because-
hilarious.
Yeah, because he's going to say the wrong thing at all times.
and he does. But that's why we have to. Because
But it's the
you
heart
know,
that counts.
But you know what comes
It's the
through
heart
though.
that
You know what
counts.
comes through with Henry, that even though if his transparency and his truth is also very refreshing, because he knows that about himself. So it's
Yeah.
not like he takes himself even more seriously than not. Because when you were talking to my mother and I,
Yeah, no, she was like, I could just see it. Like,
Yeah.
she just-
and my mom, by the way, has been a mental health professional.
For years.
She used to run the VA.
decades. Yeah.
So
Did she diagnose him with
Well,
anything?
no.
I did on the way out. Remember, I said, on the way out, I told her, I said, they're normal. We're not.
So that in itself, you said to us on when we saw you in Vegas, one of the things he said was, "Oh, right, he dismissed it. He said, I myself was like, I don't know. You can go ahead.
I mean, for me, it's like when I went away for a while, and when I came home, my younger son was just kept telling me like, "Yo, Darius is different. Darius is different." But again, my younger son.
And how old was your younger son at this time?
He was 19, 20. He's 24 now, like 19, 20.
So
And he
Darius was much older. How much older was Darius at the time? How old was Darius at the
What's
time?
the-
6 years older, 4
Okay.
and
Yeah,
6.
4 and
Like
6.
yes,
So if
6
he
years.
was 19, then I guess Darius at the time was
26.
26.
Yeah. And but he just kept telling me like, "Yo, dude, he was in the house and it was dark and he had the boiling eggs and he was just sitting there and his eyes is open and he's letting the." So my son would start to like beat him up, like just like, "What's wrong with you?" Like his younger brother, like just, And I remember we were at the table one day and I first got home and I had all my sons and I was eating and Darius was talking. He started talking about these people and he had $1 trillion somewhere and I started joking about it, right? And the rest of my sons was like, they was just like, "Man, be cool." But my younger son,
Yeah.
because
He
I
was
think he
offended.
was offended. Like he was
Yeah.
really, I thought I was going to have to fight him
Wow.
for talking about his brother that day. He was
Wow.
offended. Like, "Dude, why are you doing that?"
It's not funny.
It's not funny,
But
but
he saw.
Yeah,
he
he saw it.
Like he saw it
Yeah.
day to
Yeah.
day.
that it was something and he couldn't help, and that he had a
Yeah.
malady. He's
Yeah.
he's affected.
Which
Yes,
was the
he
question
was
that I was going
affected.
to
Yeah, he was
come around
affected.
to. How are the rest of the kids dealing with it?
Well, you know what's so funny, because he will come around them, because like our kids in different cities. Like my daughter is in
Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
One of my sons is in
Philly.
Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
But when they all come home, like holiday time or whatever, they will grab them, and that's the only time that we see them together. But for them, they'll go see them. They'll go, take food, sit down, have lunch or dinner, talk to them as much as they can talk to them. But they try to, to get him
Engage.
to.
Do you
him,
guys
yeah.
will he come home since it's so close in the neighborhood and take a shower and clean up?
Never.
I'll get him a hotel room every now and then. Like this morning, I asked him, "Could I get him a hotel room?" He said, "No." Sometimes he'll do it, and like if the kids come home, because they'll watch and they're like, it's like almost like
They have to babysit
They have to
him.
babysit him, so they'll
in
be
the
like,
hotel, because the last time he got put out because he was screaming to the top of his lungs, but he's talking to
Whoever's in his head.
Yeah, who's ever in his head.
Yeah. We had DJ in a hotel room, the same thing. He was punching the wall.
Yeah.
His hand was bloody.
But the kids will go back. That's their brother. They're not giving up on it. The one that he's the closest to, Damari, he's doing pretty good in life right now. He's really low. Like Damari has he's always been like the no nonsense kid. Like Darius is probably the kid I would have betted on, and Damari probably the kid I probably put the less money on.
Hilarious.
And
These aren't horses, ladies and gentlemen. These are his sons.
Yeah.
There's no triple crown here.
Right, but I'm just being honest. Out of all,
That's why I say I love you, because
You
this
know,
transparency we need.
But Damari is so he get frustrated. Like he the one that picked him up from jail, went and got him. Like he the one that went and visited him in jail the most, but he just get frustrated with him, And the younger son, it's funny because he was going out to play football, and we were on our way to the airport, and I promise you, I got the pictures. He would not leave until I found his brother. Like he's like, "Dude," I was like, "We're gonna be late to the airport." He said, "I gotta find him. Where Darius?" He had looked for him the night before, and we got in the car. He said, "You think we can find Darius?" I said, "We can look," and that's how close. Our kids are very, very
Yeah,
close.
they're very close.
They're very close.
They
you know.
fought like cats and dogs when Leah beat up all the boys
Yeah, she
when
did.
they were younger. But
She ran the roost.
Yeah, she did.
totally
So wait a minute,
ran.
your daughter's named after you?
Yeah,
Is that vain or what?
it's not vain.
First of all, I applaud her because our son's named after him, and my mother would she got close. She fell back. She was like, hers
Marlene
Marlene
and Marla.
Anita, and I'm Marla Annette. I'm like, why don't you just go ahead and take the leap?
Right.
I didn't know you wanted a junior.
Yep. And she, but she did. She used to like just run the roost, and
She never beat up Darius.
that's because her and Darius didn't, he didn't bother her like the other boys did. But I will say this: it doesn't matter because as they got older, they became much more close. Do you know what I mean? Like she saw, and because she was the one who actually told us that she thought it was schizophrenia. Because I was just like, you think? She was like, Mom, she was like, I can look at him and tell. Because she knew people who had it. She was like, the way he's talking, the way he talks to me, it's like she has a scar on her shoulder, right? And so, and it's kind of like a keloid.
Erased.
Yeah,
Right.
and so they were sitting down watching TV, right? And so he's like rubbing the scar on her arm. She's like, but people do it all the time. Do you know what I mean? Because like it's like very
Right.
yeah.
Prominent. Right.
And so, but she said it started being weird after a minute, and she was like, "Yo, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
And he like.
She's like, I don't know.
She was like,
maybe
Darius,
it'll
you
whoop your
know I will beat you. And then he like, oh, okay. Then he like, but she was like, that's him.
They call that. Let me give you guys, because at this point, David and I are one step away from being doctors, but they call it sticky. Mm-hmm. So they get an obsessive thought and they're stuck on that, and they fixate on it. Mm-hmm. And so, we've learned a lot even about the voices, and we'll talk about that. But as far as you guys are concerned, what are your, people ask me, but now I'm going to ask you, what are your coping skills? Because you see your son daily.
1 out of 5. That's not bad odds.
Prayer.
You no wonder you were in Vegas. God, thank you for bringing him home. You were about to be in a world of
No,
trouble.
I'm just kidding.
No.
It's hard.
Well, 1 in 5. 1 in 5 is the actual the statistic about people.
Right.
Oh,
So
really?
it's not bad
Yeah,
odds.
1 in every 5 people is affected with mental illness.
Yeah.
Or personality
So
disorders.
that means somebody in this room, Henry.
Well,
like
well,
I said,
I mean, I
Well,
guess I'll
Somebody
take it.
to my right.
well,
take it. I'll
in
take
this
it.
room, because when we say affected, even still,
oh,
we're
right,
one.
right.
Yeah,
We're
we all-
affected.
We're
There's
doubled
four
up
of us,
here,
right,
exactly. So
exactly.
so we got all kinds of stuff, and for us and our family, for different reasons, we've got more than one. So
Well, I will say this in terms of coping. We are a very praying family, and his mom and sisters, and before his dad passed away, they're the only family I know that prayers really work. Like whenever somebody is sick or whenever someone is in a bad way, I always say, you know what, call my mother-in-law, because I know for fact that their prayers work.
It's so bad that
He has to tell his mother, don't pray for me because I don't want you praying for something that I don't want.
I promise. They have a prayer line. They have a prayer line, right? And I tell my auntie, I told the pastor too, like, listen, bro, y'all got to hit me up.
And let
And
me
if you
know
know,
what y'all praying
I'll tell
for.
you what I need.
Yeah, because
I cannot with him.
I do. I promise
He is not
my auntie
even
be
lying.
texting me. I be like, yo, what did she get? It's 8 o'clock.
Hilarious.
What did she say about me?
Hilarious. So D Walker in the chat room and on my Facebook has a question.
funny.
She said, I have a question. Do any of you think that the reason mental illness is not discussed in our communities is because of how it's still treated or labeled?
100%. I think that, and I had a conversation with a few people a few weeks ago. It's like a thin line between genius and mental illness, and you look at what's the get Avatar. I was making fun. I said it's black people. If our kids would have said, "Mommy, I seen a big blue man. And he was in a spaceship and he was in another world," we if you get your ass in there,
Shut the hell up.
Put the hell up. And
Exactly.
this kid, his mother let him do it. He got Avatar.
Like,
Right? No. Oh, we agree.
And it's crazy because how do you recognize what's what, or how do you reel it in?
And that, my friend, to answer that for D, is what he just said is the number one issue that we've been trained to manage it or not manage in our community. We'll be right back.
Right.
It's time for the Marla and Dave Doghouse. Marla has something that should put Dave in the doghouse. Dave has something that should put Marla in the doghouse. You decide who gets a biscuit and who gets busted and ends up in the doghouse.
It's time for the doghouse. The doghouse this week. Marla, you go first.
Well, tell them what the doghouse is, Dave. Go ahead.
Well, the doghouse is where you guys get to vote. I'm going to bring something to the table. Marla's going to bring something to the table that I think Marla deserves to be in the doghouse. She thinks I deserve, which of course no one does, believe her, that I deserve to be in the doghouse.
Okay.
But she's going to make her case. Marla, go ahead.
I don't really have a case to make other than the fact that if David doesn't get some damn glasses, he should just go in the doghouse because he's blind. Are we talking about blind mice? Are we talking about? And I'm annoyed because David, what I need him to be able to do, half the stuff he can't read it, and I'm like, bro, get your monkey A over to Costco and get some glasses. And he's like,
every time I pass the optometry place in Costco, I've been in Costco for 45 minutes. I'm not staying another second longer.
My problem with it is that David this has become a hazard. And my issue that he needs to go in the doghouse is every time Dave has a malady or something's wrong, he has a actual reason why he doesn't need to do it. I'm strengthening my eyes. No, dude, you're going blinder and blinder every time you read the next page.
Yeah, okay, so Marla is actually trying to diagnose my eye situation, so she needs to go in the dog. I take it back. I take it all the way back. I said I was eliminating. My senses go through the roof. All of my senses, taste, smell, sight is one of them. My sight gets a little bit better when I do
my
the
God.
lemonade
Is this your
cleanse.
plea
I'm
to get out of the...
I'm sorry, it does.
Okay, well,
So
then you'll never eat
week.
again. Then you can never eat
I'll
again.
see after this week. Once I start eating again, if I still need glasses, then I'll go. But if I don't, you know what?
Well, obviously, Dave, you asked no defense. So for the first time,
That's true. I think I'm walking myself into the doghouse.
Put yourself in there and go ahead and get your bones.
This lemonade is killing
and
me.
sit down. Just the bottom line. Just sit on, as Karen would say, sit down, be humble.
I'm in the doghouse. Back to the show.
What's the action?
You'll laugh. You'll learn. You'll love. You'll get mad.
Shut up!
You'll get happy. But you won't be bored. This is the Marla and Dave radio show.
All right. Right before we get back to the show, we have to get the poll question in. Last week's poll question was, what was the standout moment of Meghan and Harry's royal wedding? Your options were the dress, Prince Charles as stand-in dad, or Bishop Michael Bruce Curry, his little sermonette that he preached there, and it was off the chain to me. So the results are 33% said the dress, 22% said Prince Charles as stand-in dad, and of course the overwhelming result was Bishop Curry.
I'm pretty sure this was Henry's family. The prayers and Leah, the Butlers voted on this. That's what happened.
We woke up in the morning and it was on, and at first I was brushing my teeth, shaving, and getting ready, and I was like, wait a minute. First he was rhyming like all black preachers do, and I was like, wait a minute, this dude, he's actually coming with it.
All right.
I stopped what I was doing. Next thing you know, I'm sitting there listening to his sermon. I'm like, this guy is bringing it.
Yeah, he seems like he's got a pretty phenomenal spirit. I've seen him on several shows. But okay, so next week the poll question is, and remember, you go to vote www.marlandave.com. Dave made me say the www. You already know it's the worldwide interweb, okay? Just go to marlandave.com. The question to answer is, who walks away with the 2018 NBA championship trophy?
Really?
Will it be the Cavs or will it be the Warriors? Well, I thought that the Warriors were going to do it last year and they didn't. So there's no foregone conclusion on anything. And whatever Henry says, I'm voting there because he clearly has odds on everything that work. That's not.
Listen, put your money on the sweep. Call Vegas today.
The sweep?
Listen, get your broom.
The sweep.
Yeah, LeBron. LeBron. Like he's.
Oh, little shade up in this. It's not the shade room. It's the madhouse. Got shady.
I mean, this is what all I'm saying is this. He's been crying the whole series, so they must well have him cry all the way out.
Did you see him? Those theatrics with one of those plays? I said, bro, if you don't stop acting right now.
He
They're
threw
all kind of dramatic.
They are.
I give it. I have to give it to LeBron, and we're about to get back to the show. But LeBron, he's been doing everything that he can do, and he had been missing. The refs have been missing calls.
What's going on with his
Basketball.
eye?
He got poked in the eye.
It's getting worse though. It looks worse.
I mean,
Yeah, we did.
so I just one more LeBron thing. He'll be a Clipper next year. Remember, you heard it here on the Marla and Dave show.
Here we go.
Wow. Back to the show.
David is a thinker.
I never do anything without thinking about it first.
Marla is a feeler.
I basically wear my personality on my sleeve.
But when Marla and Dave get together, it's like a match dancing with a firecracker. This is the Marla and Dave radio show.
So the clock blocker just ruined the show format.
Sure did.
Dave just is a premature epolator. And he blew his wad early.
Man.
Dave, nice going.
Wow, this lemonade.
I
Be
just
careful.
don't try to blame the lemonade. You had 35 more seconds. Really, we had a whole nother segment.
Wow. I completely blanked out.
It doesn't matter. You got your poll results. We're going to get back to our guest. So,
let's talk about the charity.
well, even before we do that, I have to just do one little anecdote because, the one thing that I do appreciate about Leah and Blaq is, and Blaq even, and Blaq is his nickname, by the way.
His real name is
Henry Butler,
Yeah.
right? But in the community,
Yeah, everybody calls him Blaq. Like that's his sort
Even
of.
the little white kids call me Blaq.
It's a stage name. So to
They're in
speak,
my
but-
community.
and I've been saying Henry all the time, and then because
Because you want him to answer.
Yeah, right, exactly. So he, when I talked to Henry one time, he said because he has this sense of humor, which again I appreciate because the heartache that we live with daily with what our sons are enduring is the heaviest thing I've ever experienced. If I could escape it, I would. Trust me when I tell you. But it's just I've been put here to fight. So and now there's this cause, and I'm not going to let it go. But when I was asking you about your son one day, and he said, "Yeah, I just follow him around and sit down and just get him to talk to me." And go ahead and tell me what you told me.
Well, one day I just was out there and I saw him and I was like, he's like, "You gotta go to work today." I'm like, "Nah, I gotta go to work today. I'm just gonna follow you all day." And I parked my car, walked down the street. I called his brother. His brother came and got my car. And we were walking around. He said, "They're gonna get you too." I'm like, "Who gonna get me?" He's like, "Them." I said, "Them who?" He said, "They're watching you right now." I said, "Who?" And I was like, "Who, your friends?" I was like, "Man, what your friends?" I just started swinging and kicking.
In the air.
In the air. Like, because if they there, I'm going to beat your friends.
Right. But we're not censored. Let it out, Henry.
Right. We're not censored?
No.
Yay! I said, "I'm going to beat your friend's ass." And I just started swinging and punching and kicking.
But what was his reaction?
He
He
laughed.
looked at me and started
Laughing.
laughing like,
love
"Dude,
it.
you out crazied me.
He's
Go
no-
home."
he's
Like,
I love it.
He said Henry Butler Jr.
yeah. My assistant was with me, right?
I love it.
And it's so. And let me just tell you guys, I work with a lot of young people their age, like in the music business, and my assistants and people work with me, and it's so crazy. Every one of them I ever took over there, when they see my kid, when I pull up on my son, I don't even tell them. I'll just pull up on my son. I'm like, "Oh, that's my son." Dude, they boo-hoo cry. I don't care if they're male, female. They just like, because they like, "You put up with our shit all day and you go through this? Like, how do you leave your son here to put up with our shit every day?" And I'm just like, they say, "How do you do it?" They don't understand how I do it. Like you act like you don't have a worry in the world. I said, I got to come back to my problems. I can't deal with every problem all day. Like, I have a lot of problems.
Yeah.
But I put them on hold. I'll get back to you.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
compartmentalize.
Yeah. I got to get back
Yeah.
to this problem because it'll stop me from moving forward with everything else I do, man. it's, you know, it's not easy. Like, you know, some days.
So are you concerned about his ultimate survival, like when it's inclement weather or?
100%. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to leave him out there when it's cold. Like, I buy him clothes. Like, I take him, but
Take him
he,
jackets
but
when it gets
But he
colder.
won't let me a lot of times. Like, he won't. Like, just again, like this morning, I saw him say, "Dude, can I just get you a hotel? You want to take a shower? Can I go buy you some clothes?" Like, and every time I see him, like, and I ask him that, it's like, I'm always ready to do it because it's like so random. If he let me do it, it's not like I can go back and get no money. I better have a credit card on me right then to go check him. You know,
be prepared.
Yeah, I got to be prepared. You know, I got to have everything with me, or, you know, and one time, you know, it's you know, I kind of make fun of some of the stuff because you got to laugh. Like one time, he wouldn't get in the car with me, so I called his brother, and so his brother talked to me in the car, and he was like, "You can't go." I was like, "So y'all just gonna leave me on the corner now?" Like they got in the car and left. Like, well, can I at least sit in the back seat? Like
So what do you think that so Leah, is it too hard for you? You don't.
I mean, it's hard because when I see him, he'll talk, but he's just so. It's just hard seeing him like that.
Yeah.
It's just really, really difficult.
he was always such an intelligent kid. Like,
And because I want to know though what his particular beef seems to. What do you think is there's some reason that there's a. Because for me, even with
You know what happened when he got out of jail this last time? Because he did. How long was he in jail this last time? Like maybe 2 months, 2 or 3 months.
Well, 3 months.
And when he got out, right? You know, we thought, because he was talking. It was so funny because when he was there, you know, he goes and he checks into the medical ward or whatever.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And then
Floor 2.
After he's there, they said that they were going to keep him. Now he has to go into, like, he's in the pen. Like, is it the pen? What is it? Jail? What is it? I don't really know.
It's jail.
It's jail.
Yeah, like
downtown.
he'll go into like protective custody or something like that just so he could get away. And let me tell you the funniest thing is, his brother and them went to visit him, and he said, "Yo, could you see if you can get me changed to another area? These people are really crazy."
Yes.
In jail.
Yeah. Like he's
But
basically like, I'm not really crazy.
I'm crazy, but I ain't the level of crazy that
They are.
They are.
Right.
But I think what happened was they're aggressive and violent. And
Yeah, our
he's not.
son got into a fight in jail. Well,
he's
5 guys
not.
jumped him and beat him up.
See, my son's not aggressive.
He's not aggressive or violent.
DJ, the thing about it is, and that was the next thing. How afraid have you been for his episodes? Because to me, DJ has that. DJ is a very loving guy as well, but there's this underlying, anger that's in there. And when they're talking with the voices, for me, the fear is that there's an instability there. There's something that I can't 100% say that this won't happen.
Right.
Well, you know what? He hasn't did it with me, but his biological mom, he'll do it with her, but he won't do it with me at all. Like, yeah, I've heard. I'm the one told her that he couldn't live with her no more, and I like her. I'm sitting back, but I won't say that. I mean, I take that back. I do like you. But listen,
He went to the.
at that,
I like her.
I didn't at that time, but I still fear for her safety because she's still my other kid's mother.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want nothing to happen to her. And I had to tell her, like, listen, it's going to hurt you, but it's not safe for him to be there with you. But because it's not just, and as a mother, I understood that she wanted to, but I had to have that conversation with her. Like, we don't know who he's going to let in the house. Number one, it's okay. He might have that whatever. We don't know when those spirits or those, they
The voices
people,
are
they
going to
call
talk to him.
Because they're in full interaction with them at all times.
But we know their spirits.
Right.
Us here. So, their voices, but we know their spirits.
Do we?
We know they, as Christians, we know them as them demons.
I don't agree with that.
Okay, so yeah, that's a sticking point. But we'll put a pin in it. We'll come back. Keep going.
Pin in that. Okay, right. There might be some. All right, whatever they are. Yeah.
Well, because and the reason I can't pin it. I can't pin it without saying anything. Because that actually is one of my personal pet peeves.
I know exactly where
yeah,
you're going
and the reason is because for our son who's agreed to be on meds from time to time, for 2.5 years our son was compliant and we weren't having this issue. It was with a very tragic situation that someone took him off of meds and encouraged him off of meds. Exactly. And from that point on, the length of time he went into mania and went into schizoaffective disorder, if it was just a demonic presence, then why can it be controlled with the right type of therapies and medication? If they're just demon possessed, they haven't been exorcised. So
well, you and I had the conversation in Vegas, like kind of like we were talking about, like when we had the conversation with your mom. It was just funny because I believe those people were really there.
Right. Well, he feels like 80% of all people communicate with him through what he calls the corporation in his head.
No,
so
it's called
his
the
network.
No,
it's called the network.
No,
but
my son the same network.
Yeah.
They got the same.
Of course, exactly.
They got the same credit cards, the same 50 billion. It's all.
Yeah,
Exactly.
500. Yeah, 500. Yeah, 500 billion.
Yeah, and this morning my son told me
700
that he's working for the government, and I said, well, let people in the street say it. I am too. So we need to do this together. Let's figure this out. But he says he's working for the government this morning. He said, I can't go with you right now. I'm working for the government. I'm on a deep cover.
Well, one of the things that, and because I also come from a very religious family, so I have that side of it where everything is approached from a religious perspective. But I also have now been educated in the mental health system as well. And Marla and I have taken classes and everything. We would encourage you, I'm sure Marla has, to join NAMI as well.
Yes, you did. And I looked at it online and then I lost track of it. So
it's okay. They're not going anywhere.
I definitely need to get that information.
And the reason why I say wanted to put a pin in it is because I do believe that someone could be dealing with a spiritual situation, but I also know that someone could also be dealing with a mental health situation. And most often, I could see from a religious perspective how we can say that everything wrong in this world is caused by evil.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Has an evil has motivated it. But I also think that there are certain situations, just like having cancer. I can say that religiously that has an evil motivation as well.
Right.
But we don't deal with it by saying, let's cast the cancer.
Right.
Let's lay hands. We do lay hands.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. But we ask for healing.
Right.
And we don't say that is the devil because you have lung cancer.
I got you.
You see what I'm saying? So
and it's so funny you say that because our daughter, as of late, she's been spiritually in tune with herself. And it's funny because I had to tell her one day, and
He calls her Miss Cleo.
I said, listen, Miss Cleo. Listen. I said, Miss Cleo, check this out. We can't afford to have 2 crazy kids. So you need to reel that back in. Like, listen, let me tell you what's going on with you. You're coming into with your spiritual side. I saw this. I listen. We all do. God give us all that to say. So you reel it in for what it worth before you drive yourself like your brother.
Oh,
man.
And
I had to tell her that. Like,
man.
for real.
Okay, so we're gonna have to baptize Henry, and yeah, we're gonna have to listen. We're gonna have to help you do better with the communication because he's all queried.
I think they get it.
No.
I think if I came with them any other way,
that's true. They are
confused.
used to you being their father,
right,
so yes.
Because you know what, they be on the phone all serious, and I hear them, and I hang up the phone. I get on the phone like, listen, what the hell is going on with you, Mr.
Right.
Leo? Like, let me tell you something. And
Right.
she's like, you're right. You
Right.
know, because I talk to her in a different way, in a different spiritual way, and make her understand. Like, listen, like what you're doing is you're an adult now, and you're thinking different, and those things that you're thinking and that are coming to you is just your intuition, and God give us all discernment, and don't think you're going crazy. Like,
Right.
stop this right now before you drive yourself
Self crazy, right?
thinking you're going crazy
Some
because that's not what's
anxiety in
going
there.
on.
Yeah, it's true.
So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and there's a balance there. There's
Right.
a balance
It is a
there.
definite
Right,
balance.
and I say, who knows? You might be able to prophesy. Don't look
I
at it
just
like
want
that.
her to give me the lottery numbers. That's it. So I can prove to God that I'm going to do what's right.
She
with the
called
money.
Leah the other day, said something. I said, Leah, who you talking to? Miss Cleo, if you don't stop, girl, and get us a 900 number, we can get an app now.
Hilarious.
That's hilarious. So I do want to turn the corner before the show gets away from us and back to the charity.
So when I looked at have you been on homeless? You got a chance
you
to
sent it to me, yeah. But I want you guys to actually tell us how it came about and let's talk about it.
After the,
I'm
gonna talk about it. I ain't gonna go out because she already told me.
No, you're gonna go. You're gonna go out.
I'm
You're gonna.
Oh, see, it's different for her.
When we come back, we're gonna.
Oh, she got different rules.
We're gonna let
Hold that
Leah
thought.
and Henry tell us about the charity
When we come back.
right after we play the Mad Love Game.
It's time.
It's time to play the Marla and Dave Love Game. Here are Marla and Dave to explain how it works.
All right, the Mad Love Game is a game created by Marla and me. Yes, I said me. And it is comprised of the 3 categories that we think impact most relationships. It's finance.
We don't think it. We know it, bro.
Well, we have to say think.
Okay.
Finance,
Want to be
sex,
correct.
and communication.
Right.
It's played by rolling a single die. The die has those categories as well as lose a turn or the Mad logo. When it lands on the Mad logo, you usually choose sex. Anyway, so you can choose whatever you want to.
You know what? See.
So we were going to pass the die
To Henry.
over to Henry. Let him roll the dice
I get
right
to do?
quick.
What
You roll the
happened?
dice.
You get to roll the dice.
Man.
We're about to play a game.
I was being distracted like kids on
Yeah,
Facebook.
we saw that.
And I was on camera with that.
By the way, the kids don't do Facebook anymore. They're on the Snapchat and Instagram. So you distracted like a not a millennial.
Like a
Gen X. You
like
got
my
you got a Gen X. That's like an Etch-a-Sketch. Go ahead, roll that die.
You got the roll etiquette. I see. I see you working with it.
Oh, you right.
She said it's one die. Like, let it go.
What's that?
It's the Mad logo. You get to choose your
Boom.
category. You get choose between sex, communication, or finance, and pick a
Or
card.
sex.
Okay.
Well,
You pick a card, and he's gonna read
I'll
it.
pick the card, but you just
Pick the category.
which category? You pick the category.
Yeah, pick the category.
Sex, communication, or money.
it's all the same.
One
Like, like you gotta
One
have
does
money,
the one-
You gotta have money to get sex and to communicate.
I get it, but you got to pick one of those
You
cards.
choose the category.
Sex.
Sex. I like it. I got it for you. I'm gonna read it.
Oh,
I'm gonna read it.
Look, he wants to
So
pick
It's like I want to
like
touch it.
that.
I'm gonna touch that card.
This
Get
is
it, Henry.
hilarious. This is hilarious. So first of all the answers to the questions come from the PEW, the Pew Research Center. The question for this card is, what is the size of the smallest penis on record? See if you can guess.
It's an actual real number.
It's real.
Is it human or ant?
A human.
Human
An
being.
ant is a human.
Human male.
I thought maybe an ant penis.
An ant penis? Do ants have penises? Let me look that up.
No, but I was like
An
I
insect
never did-
penis.
The smallest
Ant.
human penis on record.
I don't even want to know. Like I could never even guess. Like, is it Shaquille O'Neal's?
Madhouse
Just-
goes
just-
shady for sure. We're on the beach now. We've
Listen,
gone beyond basic
I'm
shade.
just saying, that's
We got tropical shade up in this mofo.
No, he's a great basketball player.
I know he is.
But just get it. Just
I'm
get
not
the
mad at
size.
you, though.
Guess
Just get the size.
a centimeter.
A
How many
centimeter?
centimeters?
1 centimeter. Okay, that's pretty good. That's
I'm gonna
one-
say.
ant have a penis?
I'm gonna say 2 inches.
All right. So this was unbelievable even for me. The smallest penis on record is 5/8
Of an inch.
What?
That's
That's
just
like-
That's a fingernail.
So that's like
It's a
a
little bit-
clitoris.
One,
It's like a clit.
that's
One
exactly
little
what-
millimeter.
Is it real?
Yeah.
Or
No,
it's a
no,
guy,
really.
though?
It
Yeah.
might be a hermaphrodite, right?
Or maybe.
No, this is
Or
a
just
male.
a
This is
man.
male
It's a man.
penis.
A man that.
5/8 of an inch.
It's in the Guinness Book of World
And he's
Records.
also
Yeah.
in the Guinness Book of World Records for being the best cunnilingus expert
Of course.
ever to be born. His tongue
No.
is twice as
Marla
long as
is
the average
joking.
man.
Anyway, so the cool thing about the game is that when you're playing with your friends, there's a further discussion question. And the further discussion question for this card is, what size do you think women prefer?
Oh, that's me.
Yeah, what size do you think women prefer?
Let me get a measure and tape real quick.
Oh my gosh!
Let me work it out.
8, 9,
Okay, 8, 9 inches.
Are you kidding?
12, 15.
What? You so that's like having. Let me help you, Henry. What woman do you know that wants to have sex with a ruler?
Yes.
12 is a ruler. 12 inches is a ruler. I don't want any. That's a knife. That's a weapon.
Let me see what last movie I watched.
well, Leah and Marla, what do you think?
I think anywhere between 6 and 7 inches is 6 and 7. 6 and 7 inches. Well, you just want. I mean, that's average.
I would say I would agree with that, but then also
7 it's what you do.
Can we talk about not just length, but
how
girth?
Okay, yeah. so she wants a chubby 8 inches.
Nice.
She needs I'm just saying. I'm not listen. I'm just saying. I'm not mad at your choices, girl. This is a free world. We're still living in a democracy. Pound me up on that.
Right quick before we run out of time, let Leah take a roll.
Oh, okay.
Lose a turn.
Okay.
We pass on that. Do another one.
You get the turn, girl.
I'm supposed to lose a turn.
Here.
Clearly.
A logo.
That logo.
Okay.
Sex, communication, or finance?
Finance.
Ooh.
Money.
All right, here we go. You just grab
In the
one.
order her husband said. Exactly. You have to
All
have
right,
money to
so
get sex.
how much does the average couple spend on a wedding?
You know, that's hard for us to answer because we only literally spent like maybe $150, and we've been married for almost 25 years.
Okay, they really are. These are
Just
our
like
lost
us.
laws.
We did the exact same thing.
Listen,
I didn't even have a ring when I first got married.
Yeah, we didn't.
we was able to take a call and say, let's go get married. Okay.
That's exactly
And
what we did.
And we went, got some jewelry, the marriage license. The rings was like $40 each.
The
marriage license was like $125. The wedding was like $125. And the
video cost more than the actual ceremony because we were in Tahoe. The video was like $150, and the ceremony was like maybe $60 or $70. Like literally, I don't think we spent $300 for the entire.
And you guys have been married for 25
But
years.
the marriage is working.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Take a wild guess.
But the average person.
What the average couple
I'm gonna
spends.
$17,000.
No, it's way more than that. I think the average person probably spends
30.
I'm gonna say 15.
I'm gonna say 50 to 75.
Yeah, see, okay, so when you're living in Calabasas, you kind of think like that. But actually, Henry and Marla are dead on. The average couple
Really?
spends between $14,686 and $24,476,000.
Average.
That means there's some way over here, and there's some that are way. There's us, and then there's Harry and Meghan Markle.
Right.
Those
Yeah.
So we got to get in. We got to squash that down.
There's the gates in Calabasas, then there are gates behind the
The
gates.
They're the Oaks.
and then there's the elite oaks,
You know what I'm saying? So,
and then there's the. Well, you're gonna get shocked if you go into those.
right. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
fascinating.
Yeah, okay, so
here's
the
the
further discussion question for this one is, how important is the big wedding to you? And you just pretty much answered
Yeah.
with your story.
It's a good relationship is actually more important to me than just to be getting married for the pageantry.
Right. And this is the
I
thing.
agree.
And this is
And
the
the
thing about
pictures.
our wedding. We were like, we don't want no bad spirits. We don't want no negative. We don't want nothing. It was just us in the room. It was nobody else in the room to say, why y'all didn't invite me? And why I didn't was on? Because I done been to weddings for real. To my homeboys, like, nigga, why I wasn't in the wedding?
Right.
Or why y'all got me at table 27? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
Exactly.
So it's not. It wasn't all about that.
Well, that's the Mad Love game. You can get your version at the Marla and Dave home. I won't even say www, but maybe I did. MarlaandDave.com. Back to the show.
David is a thinker.
I never do anything without thinking about it first.
Marla is a feeler.
I basically wear my personality on my sleeve.
But when Marla and Dave get together, it's like a match dancing with a firecracker. This is the Marla and Dave radio show.
So I want to talk about the charity, and I've also put it out into our web sphere that to have somebody let me know if ants really do have penises. I asked Siri, and I just want to know. Thank you for that.
What does Siri say?
Siri, let's ask her.
You should ask Alexa.
Excuse me. Hey Siri. Oh, do ants have a penis?
Siri kind of bougie.
Siri. I couldn't find anything. Sorry about that.
Yeah, Siri kind of
Yeah,
bougie.
because you
If
can't find it.
you curse at Siri, she'll
'Cause you
say,
can't- 'cause
"Please
you
don't
can't
talk to me
find
like
it.
that."
That's the real answer. Anyway, so let's turn the corner back to the charity.
So, my wife and I have been a part of several charities, and we work with a lot of charities over the year, and we give back. And So we started our own nonprofit called the Help Give Care Foundation, where that we could give to any need that we wanted to. It didn't have to be a particular need, you know, whether it's kids or homeless or tutors or scholarships, whatever we want to do, we want to be able to give it to. NBA All-Star Weekend, I teamed up with Chef Penny DeViti and Charles Oakley, and we went downtown to Skid Row, and we fed 800 people.
Wow.
And at that time, the charity that's now the Who I Am, Homeless But Human, pop-up festivals we're doing around the country, along with the Big Three, Cisco Food, and a few other partners. At that time, it wasn't that. We went downtown to Skid Row, and when we fed those people, it wasn't about the feeding them. It was about the engagement. And the engagement was what was special to me. Like, even though we were feeding them, like to see the celebrities engaging with them, and they played basketball, and we had DJs, and to see these people dance. Like I wasn't expecting to see homeless people dance and feel celebrated. So before that, an incident happened with my son that I didn't understand what happened. And that's how we came up with the name Homeless But Human. I was at the Denny's, and I stopped and I bought my son something to eat. And the lady at the Denny's, she was looking outside, and she seen my son walking back and forth. Now, she had no idea it was my son. And she said, I asked her, because I could tell the way she was looking, like, my son did. So, and she started running him down to me. Yeah, and this is not funny, but she said he came in here one day, he was in the bathroom, and he was naked, and one of the guys went in there, and he ran out, and he chased the guy in the back, and she said, and I didn't call the police on him because I didn't feel like the police does any good. And I just wanted to let everybody know, too, because all this racist stuff going out there, this was a white lady talking to a black homeless guy, and she didn't call the police on him. I just want to let y'all know that, too. I got to put that out here because I got to, you know what I'm saying? I got to let people know that, you know, this thing is not about black or white or anything. This is a white lady talking to me, telling me about something she could have clearly called the police on a
had every reason justified reason
to call the police on this guy and put him in. She said, you know, and it kind of scared me because he could have picked up a knife back in the kitchen or something. Like, I don't know what to do next time. And I said, thank you, because that's my son. And she just looked at me and started boo-hoo crying.
Wow.
And she's like, I'm sorry. She just started apologizing. I'm sorry. I said, no. I said, it's okay. You know, you got, you know, sometimes, because I've had my friends see my son and start calling me crying. I'm like, yo, I know, dude. Like, you know what I'm saying? Pump your brakes. I know. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And she was crying. And I said, just out of nowhere, I just said, his name is Darius. And I'm Henry. And if he does it again, here's my phone number.
Wow.
I said, tell Darius, call him by his name. Say, Darius, I'm going to call your father. I'm going to call Henry, and he's going to know. I said, he ain't that crazy. I said, you know, he's going, you know.
That'll get through.
That's going to get through.
Yeah.
I said, you call me, and I live in this community. I will come. And she was just so apologetic. So I never knew why she cried until I went downtown and fed the homeless. And it humanized these people to me.
Wow.
I hired those guys down there for security. I had 2 real security guards. I had celebrities down there. I hired all of them in security.
Well, you had to, because it's
just in
colonized
case. Yeah.
there, and there it's like a
I've seen it. I've been
it's territory.
It's
like
territory.
Certain people, certain homeless can't come to this area,
and you had
because it's very organized in their.
And they know each other
in their own way,
and they know each other. So I had to let them regulate their system. So I hired them in security. I hired them to do all the work. Nobody stole. Nobody. I promise you. I was just like, I left my window down on my car on an accident, and I had cameras in there and everything, and nobody. They didn't steal. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was crazy.
And that's the part as well.
They humanized me. You know, and I humanized them, and I made them human. I know their names. I can go back down there right now and talk to some of these people, and that's when I came up with
Homeless But Human.
Homeless But Human, the Who I Am. Because who are these people? Like, who is Darius to this lady? Until she didn't have no clue who Darius was. Until if I hadn't have been there and had the conversation with her, she didn't identify. But now she identified. This guy has family. He has somebody love him. He's probably not a bad person, you know. And I was able to tell her that, like, this is my son. I said, I don't know.
What I like most about this story is, beginning with the lady who worked at Denny's, is that this is a way for our communities to come back together.
Right.
We have so many things from the top on down dividing us.
Right.
This is a way for us to bring it back together.
And that's why I have to always tell him it was a white lady and a black kid.
Right.
That's awesome.
That he can do anything to get put in jail the rest of his life.
That is awesome.
And she didn't. And this is before she found out her son. That was my son. She said, and in the conversation, that sticks with me. She said, I don't call the police on him because I don't feel like that's going to do him any good.
Right,
Man.
to have him arrested. Right.
Kudos to Woodland Hills.
Yeah.
Shout out to Woodland Hills.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. They got used to this real quick.
Wow, man. I love it. I love it.
Hey.
Well, so where can we find your charity?
Well, we're going to be touring with the Big Three Basketball League this summer, along with Charles Oakley. You know, he's the key person. He's a part of the Big Three Basketball League. Baron Davis, world medal piece, Allen Iverson. We're going to be going out. Our first date is June 22nd in Houston. We're going to be in Houston. I'm going to try to name all 10 cities. Houston, Dallas, Atlanta, Toronto, Chicago, Detroit, Miami, Oakland.
Did you say Cleveland?
Cleveland, back in L.A. I left something out. I know I did.
Baltimore? Are you doing it in the D.C. area?
Oh, Boston.
Boston.
I said Toronto.
Yes.
I'm missing a city.
But
Dallas,
where
Houston.
can with the cities? Where is there a website that?
Yeah, go to homeless. But we can't say www, right?
Yeah,
We
you
get in
can.
You can say it.
You
man.
can.
Okay, you sure?
www.
I'll catch you outside.
Homeless but human.
Yeah. .info.
.info. There you go.
And you know what? I will enlist you guys. I make a pact here on our show today that we talked about it, but we'll truly, really actively join forces, because I just can't organize everything, but there's a PSA that needs to happen that I've already kind of written up for our community that I would like to do just to bring awareness.
Yeah.
Literally, and I have a hashtag that I use called We Suffer Too.
We thank Leah and Henry for
we thank you
sharing their
guys, too,
story, and
for having us on the show.
we always run out of time when we're having the most fun. But
I want
thank
to
you
get that
guys.
dice back.
It's been great.
I think I got some more.
Let me tell you something, Mad Family. He is not leaving here with that die.
This has been the Marla and Dave Show. We will see you guys
next week. Thanks for stopping by.
All right.